Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope that you're doing well. My name is Zia. Now, we are going to study English 9 and today we are going to cover yet another student's learning outcome. Now, let's see. Here is our student's learning outcome and it is from the competency of reading and critical thinking. My dear learners, we have these 5 competencies, or you can say 4 competencies that we deal with in English subject. It is grammar and vocabulary. You can consider them together and also apart. Then we move on to our reading and critical thinking, all those SLOs that are resonating with the competency of reading and critical thinking. And then we move on to our oral communication SLOs. And then finally, at the end, we deal with the competency of writing and all those students learning outcomes that actually talks about writing. So now that we have covered vocabulary and grammar, now we are on reading and critical thinking. As you can see over here, let me read the students learning outcome for you. And if you have any kind of question in the middle of the lecture, you can straight away raise your hands, unmute yourself and ask it freely. Now, our students learning outcome is, and this is our lecture 5 in the lecture series of English 9. It says, read and use inference and deduction to recognize implicit meaning. For example, looking for supporting details within a text or a paragraph using prior knowledge and contextual cues effectively. Now, this is about reading. Whether we are reading fiction or non-fiction, we can guess what's happening in order to enhance our reading comprehension. I guess we have a question over here now. Yes, Noor.
सर आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं है
Not clear. Okay, I think the problem lies at your side. Uh, can you just, yeah, thank you. It will be clear as we move forward, inshallah. Now, my dear learners, we are talking about our students' learning outcome. This is for increasing your reading comprehension, your understanding, and it will increase your reading skills. And your critical thinking also plays a very good role in today's video lesson about inference and deduction. Let's see what we are supposed to do. First, we will read anything, and then we will use some skills, some techniques, or you can say strategies. All right? That is inference and deduction. Now, have you ever heard of these two terms before? If you have, then please let me know that you have heard about inference and deduction. Okay, yes. Abiha.
Sir, I think I heard that words that inference mean to add something and deduction mean to deduct something from a paragraph
From the
or
text.
anything else.
Good answer. Thank you so much. Now, we will use these two strategies side by side. They will allow us to be uh, be very much clear about the text that we are reading, and in that, to find why are we putting these strategies forward when we are reading something, we need to find the implicit meaning, the implicit message hidden in the text. It means we have to read between the lines in order to understand the meaning fully. Sometimes it happens when you are reading a paragraph, a passage, or a page, you get lost throughout the reading session, and you just start reading it over and again. Now, it means that the message, the implicit meaning has not reached to you. So in order to understand the implicit meaning, which means the implied meaning in the text, the hidden meaning. So in order to get that, we use strategies like inference and deduction. I'll get to these terminologies later on in as we progress with our video lesson. I'll explain these terminologies and we can see that how we can apply these two strategies on any text. Now, in order to do implicit meaning, we look for supporting details in the text. Within any text or paragraph, we use our prior knowledge. Prior means the knowledge that we already have about that topic or about something. And we will be talking about using contextual cues, that is hidden in the text itself, so that we can reach to the implied or hidden meaning. So these are the things that we are supposed to do today. I hope it is very clear that what we are supposed to do in this video lesson. If you have any kind of confusion in understanding this SLO, you can just put your question forward. All right. Yes, please, Sabiha, put your question.
Sir, did you mean that today we are going to talk that how can we improve our writing skills or speaking skill by adding and deducting words and paragraphs?
You're very close. This is specifically on reading comprehension. All right. And this will also help you in other competencies as well, but we are specifically focusing on reading. I hope I'm very clear. Now let's move forward. Now here you can see a vertical linkage of this SLO with the previous grade, grade 8. This is just for your understanding. Now, as we always do, we will read this translation of a verse from the Holy Quran. This is from Surah Al-Imran, verse 190. It says, "Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the night and the day are signs for those who understand." Now, what does this tell us? Tell us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be very much critical thinking people, so that we can understand how everything works, and this will ultimately lead us to Him in order to understand how things function, and we can appreciate His creation ultimately. So just like this, I can relate it to our lesson by saying that we are also looking for signs in the text. And we are very critical when we are reading something. So we are actually looking for signs in the text, cues, different clues that we can find in order to understand the meaning. So this is just to motivate you. This is from Surah Al-Imran, verse 90. Let's move on. Now, I want you to think and do this brainstorming session. We are talking about thinking critically when we are reading something in order to deduct something from the text and put our guesses forward so that we can guess what is happening in the story or in any kind of text that we are reading. Now, here is a situation that is here for you. You can see this picture. It says park closed. Now, local park closed due to recent activity. Now, what can you guess about the recent activity in the park? Now, this is all your guesswork. You are inferring, right? What happened here? You have minimum clues. You can see this picture. There's no reason mentioned over here. You have to come up with your own reasons and reach to the closest cause of why the park is closed. Now, this headline is very important. Local park closed due to recent activity. Now, you have to guess about the recent activity in the park. What could have happened? Please unmute yourself one by one, and I need your answers. Yes, Abiha wants to share her answer with us.
So here we can see that there is so many water in the park. So we can also guess that if it will be rain and there would be so floody area. So that's
Good.
why the park is closed.
So you mean to say that the activity here is a natural occurrence. It is related to nature. This is
Yes.
your guess, right? Okay. Any other guess that you can come up
They
with?
they will be not nature
There
flood.
could be some very, let's say, illegal activity, something that was not expected, right?
Yeah, it would be artificial that someone will
Someone
go
did
to
something
water.
bad and they had to close the park. Thank you, Abiha. Now Fatma wants to answer it.
Maybe any kind of accident was occurring in park.
That's a good guess. Now, what are you doing? You are inferring. You're putting your guesses forward, right? So we have minimum knowledge of something, and we are reading between the lines. We are guessing what could happen or what would have happened that causes the park to close. So I hope that you now understand what is inferring. I hope you get it. Now, all we did is to infer. We take guesses. We are not clear about everything. We make guesses according to the logic, according to our prior knowledge, our understanding and experience. Now, let's move forward. Now we have this another situation over here. I'm showing you the visuals to make you understand what we are supposed to do, and then all these things, these strategies will be applied in the text. Now, pay attention over here. The room was filled with a heavy silence, broken only by the ticking of the clock and the occasional sigh. So what do you guess from this? You can see this picture over here. Take your help. Now, the room is silent, and you can only hear the ticking of the clock and an occasional sigh. It means somebody is sobbing, somebody is uh, depressed, they have been crying, right? So you can come up with your guesses. Somebody is in a solitude, or something bad happened, or someone is missing someone, because we are hearing occasional sighs. Now, this tells us a lot about what have happened. And you can make your guesses, and you can make a list of guesses in order to understand it. Yes. Soha, is it?
Sir, I think maybe the person who was crying threw a vase or anything outside the window, which made it
That
break.
could be.
Sorry.
That could be a possibility. So all you're doing is you are inferring, you're guessing. So this is what we do when we are reading something. As we read it, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, whether it's any kind of text type, a paragraph, a passage, or whatever, we are continuously inferring and reading between the lines in order to get the implied meaning. So all your guesses, they are made to reach to the implied or hidden meaning in the text. Now, let's move forward. Okay, we have some other pictures also. Now, you have this visuals, these two. You can make a lot of different guesses. You can infer, and you're inferring through your prior knowledge, your understanding, your experience, and so many things. They are putting together, and you are coming up with answers. You are given minimum knowledge. You're not related to these people. You do not know anything about them. Yet you are able to you are able to guess it at the maximum correctness and at the maximum understanding. Now this would say that this boy over here does not like veggies. He doesn't like his vegetables. Or the girl has been crying because she's getting married and she's got to leave her home. So you can make guesses, and your guesses can be different from each other. It's okay, that is just your opinion, as we discussed in the previous lesson, that every person is entitled to their own opinion. Now, let's move forward. Let's talk about in detail what is inference and what is deduction. Now, inference is the process of drawing a possible conclusion about something not directly stated in our text. It involves analyzing clues, the hints, suggestions, and context within the text and combining them with your own knowledge and experiences. Now, what do we understand? Inference is a method. You can call it a process. And what do you do with this process? You make conclusion. You get to the results. And those things are not directly stated in the text. It means you have, that's why you're guessing, because those things are not mentioned directly. When things are not mentioned directly, the message is not mentioned directly in the text, we find the implicit, implied, and hidden meaning in the text. Now, we have clues. We can go to context clues. Context is the surrounding of the text. In order to find meaning of any word, any hidden word, or word that you're not familiar with, you just read the whole sentence and some 2 or 3 sentences before and after. This will give you a context that what is being talked about, and you can make your guesses and you can ultimately reach to the right meaning of the word. Now it includes your suggestions, and you combine all these things together to get to a conclusion by your own experience and knowledge. This is what we call inference, and this applies to your text that you're reading. For example, now this example is a little serious, it's a little dark. The police find a body with a knife sticking out of it. Okay, I hope it is visible. Now, what do you infer? This is just a text, and this is a statement, a sentence in front of you. Now, your mind has so many things to say because it is in the inference mode. You say, we could infer that someone didn't like that person. That's why he is in this condition, because somebody didn't like him or her. We can deduce, we can deduct that the person has probably been murdered because it has a knife sticking out of it. Now, we inferred that somebody didn't like that person. And what did we deduct? We get that the person is not in the situation of, he is dead. This is what we deduct. Now, this is a basic difference between inference and deduction. Inference is when you when you make guesses and when you think about something based on the minimum knowledge, and deduction is when something is totally open for you and you just conclude it. Now, we concluded that the person has been murdered. This is our deduction. We deduced it from this situation in the text that we have. Now, let's talk about deduction. Now, again, this is also a process, just like inference. This is the process of reaching a definite conclusion. What was our definite conclusion over here? Can somebody tell me? In this sentence, what is our definite conclusion? Okay, if somebody wants to answer this, they're welcome. Our deduction is that the person is murdered. He is dead. Not only that he's dead, he's murdered because the knife is sticking out. The knife is a very big hint. It's a very big clue that we have. Now, reaching a definite conclusion based on specific evidence. Here we had this evidence provided directly within a text. It's like following a clear logical path where the evidence leaves no room for other interpretations. Now, in this situation, is there any other deduction that you can get? Now, the most definite is the guy being murdered because it is very much evident, and this is the definite deduction that we have according to this situation. What did we infer? We inferred that somebody didn't like him and somebody did this to him or her. And what did we deduct? That this is not a normal death, rather it's a murder. So this is our deduction. I hope that you can clearly differentiate now between inference and deduction. Inferences
Excuse me,
are,
sir.
yes,
Sir, it may be a suicide case.
probably yes, but depends on the whole situation that where and how did the guy was found. So you can come up with your inferences, right? But when the situation is finalized, it is concluded and the main thing is deducted, it is your definite deduction. So you can make inferences like this, and then for deduction you reach to actually to the right conclusion and to the right interpretation that what could have happened. Now, let's talk about the implicit meaning. Implicit means hidden, implied. It is not directly mentioned in the text. We have to do some struggle in order to find this implicit meaning. Implicit meaning is understood, but it is not stated. To find the implicit meaning in what is read, you will have to think about what you read. So this needs your attention. This needs your critical thinking skills. You have to look for clues as you read. Implicit meaning is not written. I'm saying this over and again. Implicit meaning is not written, it is hidden, and it is not directly stated. So we have to find this implicit meaning, but the idea is there. You will have a little bit idea to find the implicit meaning, and implicit meaning is using what is read to make an inference. Now this is where you start guessing. This is where you make inferences of different kinds till you reach the deduction where you get the actual conclusion and the definite deduction or conclusion that we will have. Now, what do we do to successfully do the process of inference? First, we will identify context clues. Context clues are the clues that you find in the text itself. Those are some words, those can be some keywords, some situations, or some sentences that give you clues about the text, about the hidden meaning. You will be using your prior knowledge, the knowledge that you already have, and identify character actions and feelings. When we are reading fiction, if you want to make inference, you will analyze the characters, what each character is doing and what their motives are. This is very important. You make logical predictions using evidence. Now, when you are reading, you will find different kind of evidences. Just like we read the previous example in the previous slide, the evidence was the knife sticking out. Now you can have different evidences that you have to find them in the text. And you will make logical predictions that this is going to be happening in the future, or this could have happened, or this would have happened according to my understanding. You will analyze the dialogues, interpret symbolism. There may be so many symbols or this literary device that we know of like symbolism. So there could be so many symbols that are hinting towards the meaning of the word. Consider the text type. See what kind of text we are reading. Is it a short text, a longer one, fiction or non-fiction? Either it's a poem, it's a story, it's an all those different kind of text types. You ask questions. Now this is very important. You have to be inquisitive in order to understand and in order to reach to the right meaning. And you revise inferences accordingly throughout reading. You keep your inferences, your guesses to you until you read the whole text, then you can make your deduction. So in order to do inference correctly and efficiently, you will have to follow all these different kind of steps. Yes.
Sir, I think to understand it fully, we have to watch CID.
Yes, you can watch Sherlock Holmes. Are you aware of Sherlock Holmes?
I think it's a series.
Yes. This now
Yeah.
that part, now that series, Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle, throughout the whole text, the whole story, you are continuously inferring and deducting, right? And in all those mysterious and suspenseful shows, you do the same. Now, here are some exemplary questions that are very important in order to make inference. Now, what words make you think that and why? How do you feel about anything or why? Can you explain your inference? At the end of the story, the main character is feeling. Does this surprise you? What does this tell you about what and so on? So you ask yourself these questions in order to guess what we are looking for. Now, inference and deduction. These two strategies can be done following these three steps. First, you look for the contextual clues. It means you have to be reading the text very carefully without leaving anything. And then you use your prior knowledge, combine it with the text and come up with different kind of inferences. Then you will go through the supporting details. The details that are very important in the text, and in those details they could have your you can get that and you can get your conclusion and deduction from your supporting details. So these three things, context clues, prior knowledge and supporting details, these are the steps that you need to follow in order to make inferences and deductions. Now let's see what are context clues. Context clues are pieces of information from the text that help us figure out the meaning of unfamiliar words. So when we are trying to try to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words, we go to the context clues. It means that we read the whole surrounding and the whole part of the text in order to guess the right meaning of the word. Now, the supporting details are the different details, facts, statements, examples, all these things that guide you towards the understanding of the main idea. In the supporting details, you can find your main idea or central idea of the text. Now, they clarify, illuminate, explain, and describe the main idea that you have. Now, this PowerPoint presentation will be shared with you. Now, this text is extracted from the book of English 9. You can get this and make your inferences and deduction. Now, this is the implied meaning, the implicit meaning that you can read when you get this PowerPoint presentation. And Here you can see this simulation video whenever you want in order to understand that how we can do these strategies of inference and deduction carefully and efficiently. Now you will be working in pairs for the activity in your classroom. The teacher will give one passage from the lesson to each group and ask them to identify the implicit meaning using the techniques of inference and deduction. Or you can take any kind of passage, any unseen one from the internet, and then you can make inference and deduction and then see if they actually are true and they match. Your worksheet that would be shared with you, and this is your homework. When you read the text, or you can take any kind of text and answer the questions that are present at the end of the text. You can read from the book, or you can get another one. Now these resources are here for your understanding. I hope that we have achieved our students' learning outcome clearly and carefully. I'll see you in the next video lesson with another topic, probably of reading and critical thinking or oral communication. See you in the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.